Hey everybody, this is Team Solemn Circus. We're here with Jacob, who just topped the Dartmouth Regional. Why don't you tell us what you played and go over your list?
I played Maliss with a very small striker engine, mostly because I didn't have Fiendsmith cards. It felt like an engine that just wasn't Fiendsmith. But yeah, the Maliss engine was pretty standard. 3 rabbit, 3 dormouse, 2 chessie, and 1 of each trap. Yeah, like that's pretty standard. You can play 3 chessie, you can play 1 to be honest. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about that. 3 field spell, and also the terraforming, because you have to play. You have to see a Maliss name or else your game is just pretty much over. So I decided to max out on that. I main decked Thrust, mostly because between the side and the main deck, I wanted to have room for Thrusts and Crossout, just to have as many ways to play around Lancia as possible. So that's why this was in the main, mostly because I just didn't have the side deck space. It was okay. Like, it's not bad, and that's part of the reason that I was on the Striker engine as well, is because it gave better targets for Thrust that were also good going first and second, and helped us play through Lancia a little bit. The Striker cards were pretty good, but they definitely felt like watered down Fiendsmith cards. In most cases, they were just 2 bodies, and it's a lot nicer when your 2 bodies produce follow-up, but hey, we're broke. And Thrust was actually surprisingly good, so we were on 43 in the main deck as well. 3 Metal Tronus. This card was not great for me today, mostly because I forgot to have a DDD target, so it was just borderline useless against Ryziel. If you can't target DDD, then it's just going to get negated. So that was a misstep. It wasn't very good. Didn't end up playing any Ryziel, so it never mattered. But it never really felt particularly good, and it was always present in my bad hands. Didn't have any targets against Fire King for it in game 1, and I didn't really have any good targets against Blue Eyes, because they had the Ultimate Dragon or whatever engraved that stopped the targeting. So it just ended up feeling really weird most of the time. 1 called by in the main just because I didn't really have the side deck space and I needed it in my deck list somewhere. Gold Sark and 1 Talents. It's nice to play the 1 Talents whenever you have Thrusts, and it's also an out to Chaos Hunter with Thrusts as well. Only 3 Bestials. I found a lot of my bad hands had a lot of Bestials, and with people playing around them now and playing like pure Ryziel, the Bestials are just not that great to see a lot of, so I ended up cutting them down a little bit in favor of the Thrusts and the Striker cards, the ones that help you play under like Lancia and produce more bodies. 3 Ash, mostly to just beat Fuas. Again, it's just a card that I really wanted on my deck list. 1 Nib and 1 Veiler. I'm not a huge fan of Veiler and Imperm right now. It just feels like a lot of the time they don't do a whole lot. So I minimized the Veilers, and the Nib is one that I would have liked to play more of. I always like having Nib in my hand, but it conflicts with Impulse, which is what I played instead. And I absolutely love Impulse. I'm a huge believer in Impulse. But yeah, they're in there as cross-out targets mostly in the side, because again, like it's weird balancing the side deck and main deck here with so many cards you need to play to beat Lancia. 3 Impulse, card's crazy. I love this card. It's straight gas. It's basically a board breaker. I love seeing this card in my hand. And 3 Imperm. It's marginally better than Veiler, and it pairs with Impulse better, so I decided this would be between Veiler and Imperm. I had played the 3 Imperms. The extra deck is pretty standard. Access Code, Firewall, Cryptor, Red Ransom, White Binder, Splash Mage, Lizard, IP, SP, a Dark. Dark never really came up today, maybe like once. It's fine. I think it's borderline cuttable. It was one of the weaker cards in the extra deck. It's good in the mirror. Other than that, it's kind of weird. A lot of the time you're just using it to, if you're not taking a Maliss body, there's not a whole lot you can do with it. You're pretty much just going into an SP at that point. Cerberus, just to respect Chaos Hunter. Link Spider, only because I was on the Striker cards, and sometimes you need to turn the token into a monster, and it makes it better into Nib. If you get nibbed and then you have like an engage or something, you can link the token off and then keep playing. Or Widow Anchor like the Nib, take it and then go for SP. So that's the only reason I'm on this right now. If I weren't on the Striker cards, Link Spider would be cut. Link Decoder is standard. 1 Kagari and the Detonator for Metal Tronus. Side deck is 3 Lancia, self-explanatory. 3 Shifter, didn't want to main it. Shifters, like, it's a weird card, especially with the striker cards. It's not very good with them, so I decided to side it instead. And 3 Droll. This is why the Thrust was kind of had to go in the main deck, is because I wanted to have 6 cards to put in against Mermail going second, so that I could realistically see one in most games. So that's why my ratios were a little weird. 3 Crossout to respect Lancia. And 3 targets for Thrust going first. This is for pretty much anything that isn't pure Ryzeal or Maliss. This is for Maliss, and this is for pure Ryzeal. I just wanted to have a target that would cover most matchups for Thrust, especially since it's in the main. And that was it.
All right. Congrats on the top, and thanks for the list. Go.